Hi again, it's Neil here. I've decided to jump on Zoom today and try to help guitar players who are stuck, frustrated, struggling to really try and understand how this instrument is tuned. Because it's one of those things that every time I teach the standard tuning system of the guitar to people, I get a bit of a lump in my throat because it's absolutely magical. It goes way beyond just knowing what the notes on the open strings are. It's generations on generations of people doing very, very clever things to make life easy for you and me. So I've already tuned this guitar up roughly. So the standard tuning is going from thick to thin, E, A, D, G, B, E. Useful mnemonic for that is Eddie ate dynamite. Goodbye, Eddie. Or if you're a Star Trek fan, you could picture Mr. Spock eating hoisin duck or a rubber duck. And then you've got eat a duck, get big ears. Whatever works for you, make your own ones up. If you want to remember things, guys, the key is to make it playful, vulgar, disgusting, and odd. If it's bland, then good luck with that one. You're just going to forget it. It'll go straight in the front door and out the back. So, the guitar is tuned conventionally, and it was just explained to me that you tune the guitar this way. You hold down the note here on the fifth string of the E, and that will give you the pitch that should tune the A string next to it. They're both the same. Now, that was all I got from the book that I had as a kid. Didn't help very much. And I was always wondering why it was that pattern repeated. A's, then on the fifth fret of this string you get a D. The fifth fret of the D string you get a G, which tunes the next string over. And then there's a switch, and it only goes 4 frets, and it kind of annoyed me that they'd do something like that instead of just carrying on the same pattern all the way across. Of course, everything happens for a reason. We're back to fifth frets there, so we're all back to normal. I'm going to try and explain how that works and in the real world. So I'll switch the cameras over onto the little boom camera here and try and do it on paper for you, because it'll probably make more sense than if I just show you the neck. Okay, here we are. This is a face-on view of the guitar, as though it were laid down flat in front of you. This black line at the cross, the top is the nuts, that's the end of the guitar. The guitar body is down this end out of shot. The highlighted red string is the E string, and at the top it says notes on the E string, and they're all spat out over the side here, where you can see there is a homogenized piano keyboard. All the black and white keys have been made the same size, because of course the guitar and the piano are accessing much the same kind of notes. So if you have any knowledge of a keyboard, then this is how it works. C, D, E, F, G, and so on. And it goes in both directions, C, B, A, G, F, and E. So there's our E note. We've tuned the open E string here. I'll just lumpily write a big E there. So the next string is A, then D, then G, and B, and E. E to duck, get big ears. Eddie ate dynamite, goodbye Eddie. You'll got that? You'll never ever forget it again, I hope. So, the average person has only 4 fingers. You know, give or take small change. So, we get a free note on the open string, that's E. Then when the index finger plays, it plays anything across the first fret. This. So I press my first finger here, I'm going to get an F note, and it's right there. My second finger will take over on F sharp, which is my middle finger. That's your driving finger. You know the one I mean. Then on the third fret, my ring finger will get used. Just like that. My little finger, the pinky, is going to play the 4th fret, and this is where we have a problem. I've run out of fingers. So to access anything further along the string here, I've got to zip my hand up the neck, and I'll just show you that in the real world here on the camera. So here we go. This is E, then F is on finger 1, F sharp finger 2, the G is on the 3rd finger, G sharp, A flat, that's on the pinky. So to get to the A, I've either got to start to make big stretches, or I've got to jump my whole hand. By doing that, any kind of leaping around is generally inefficient, and we want to be inefficient. So back to the overhead cam. So our A note's right here, which is interesting because the A note here is identical to the A note there. And if I'm feeling particularly frisky, I could pick up my ruler and just draw a straight line between them like this to tell you that they are the same note. Very cool. The practical upshot of that is that the notes from further along the E string here, I'll only go as far as the 10th fret, and I'll show you why in a second. Well, they all coexist here. They've been copied to right there, which is pretty cool, because instead of having to leap lengthways along the neck now, I can just track across. So if I need to get to the 7th fret here for the B, I can go 1 string thinner, 5 frets backwards, and I'll get to the same note. That would be a B, because it'll just parallel line whatever's going on here. And this is where it gets really cool, because I only went as far as the 10th fret, and there must be a reason for that. Here's the reason. On the 10th fret, the note D occurs, and that also shows up here on the 5th fret, which in turn shows up on this string in the open position. So if I take my ruler again, oh, I do love stationery, I can just draw a straight line between those equivalent notes. So the instrument's behaving very, very consistently. It's completely predictable. Let's go again. Let's go another 5 frets along the string. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 frets. I'm going to get to the note called G, which I can find on this string. One string thinner, 5 frets down. And again. And again. So the notes on this segment of the bass E string here, they exist there. And look at that, they exist here too. So instead of having to jump up 10, 12, 13, 14, 15 frets or whatever, I can just step across. Now the guitar is incredibly clever. The guys who came up with this did a wonderful thing on the next string to make life easy. And I'll try and explain what it is. They don't go 5 frets here. They only go 4 frets to get that crossover note, the B. So we've got G, G sharp, A sharp, B. And it's broken the pattern before it resumes again, B, C, D, E. So that note and that note are the same. There must be a reason for this, right? It isn't just to make life awkward. It's to make life easy. You see, the genius of standard tuning is that by lowering the pitch of this second string by 1 fret, we're putting in a friendly note onto that string, a native note. It's actually the 5th step of the major scale built on E, which do, re, mi, fa, so, la, ti, do. That's the scale. So the 5th is do, re, mi, fa, so. So this is a so. Instead of an awkward little note that's got to be managed, it's something that can be just left, and it will passively take care of itself. Now, the camera looks suddenly blurry. What's going on? Let's move my hand in front and see what happens. Will it snap back into focus if I move my finger? Oh, I bloody hate technology. There we go, we're back in focus now. That blurriness is not the effect of any kind of psychoactive drugs. Well, not at your end anyway. So instead of having a note that I've got to really work and manage here, which would be a C, and an F on this string, I've got another E. Look at that. So I can use 3 fingers, say, to align all the strings and put them into tune. And that's just an ordinary open E chord. If I didn't have the tuning fudge, I've got a problem. The 2 thin strings without the tuning fudge will sound like this, and it's pretty horrible. You tell me what you think. I don't like that very much. With the tuning fudge in place, they're nice and friendly. And I'm only using 3 fingers to do that because there must be something very clever going on when you know that someone with only 4 fingers can operate 6 strings with ease. So this is what it looks like without the tuning fudge. If I wanted to manage these 2 notes into place, I would have to fret here and here. What was it there? Sorry, there and there. That'd be my bad. Without the tuning fudge. Difficult. 4th, there you go, these 2. Brain fog. Now, if I'm using 3 fingers here, the 3 fingers I do actually have, there is no way that I could play an E chord like that because I don't have enough fingers. So some genius went, why don't we just fudge the tune of that string so that a friendly note, the B, which is this red note here, its sibling will show up there in the open position. And the E, which is over here, well, that will show up on that string just by progressing that note in. So now I've got something beautiful. I've got a 6-string instrument that someone with only 4 fingers can operate successfully. How elegant is that? And that's the magic of open tuning, guys. It does a whole bunch of other things, but since this is only a test video for me, then we're not going to get into any of that. This will all be included in the upcoming online course for you guys, the people who can't get to me here in the room, the people who haven't got the time to get here, but they still need answers. As I attempt to explain how the guitar works, simplified, get rid of all the BS, the nonsense, the posing, the low-slung guitar hero worshipping. What you won't see on here is band t-shirts and guitar brand t-shirts. There's no buying into the conventional BS here. It'll be iconoclastic, it'll be simplified, and it'll make sense because it's based on reality. It's not based on unicorns and hero worship and any of that nonsense. This is the stuff that is mostly hidden, poorly explained, and really doesn't help people. So by stripping it back, absolute bare bones, bare naked, and maybe you ought to call it naked guitar, because it's not going to be wrapped up in any fancy clothes. What do you think? If you stumbled upon a course for guitar players that really got down to the bare bones of it, that gave you the essence of it, no nonsense, no fluff, no BS, what would be a good name for that course? Because you've probably got a better name for it than me. Let me know what you think in the comments, and I'll put up another video probably next week with a little bit more of an expansion as to why standard tune is brilliant, how to navigate around the neck, and how to not mess yourself up simply by exploiting how the guitar works. I hope this serves. Until next time, get some value out of it, go make some noise, grin like a maniac, and annoy your partner, your parents, and the people with whom you share your life. Be exuberant, be awesome. Have a fabulous day.